Let's go ahead and get the meeting started. Tracy, are you on there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, because we can't see if you're there or not.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. David Lindsay was supposed to be here. We have some things that are mandated that we were going to hit on first. It's going to jump around a little bit. So, yeah, there it is.
Good job.
So let's call the meeting to order. And we can go through to B on discussion. And we'll start there, and when the lawyer gets here, we'll go down to the mandated stuff. That way we can get through the most important things. On B, discussion 1, policy 706, disposal of surplus equipment, textbooks, and supplies and land. I read through that policy and didn't see any big problems with it. When stuff gets sold or disposed of, we just get a notification of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Tracy, Elizabeth, are you two okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
No, I think it's something we've needed for a long time. I think Dr. Redmond was the one that brought that to our attention, so thank you. This doesn't really matter. It's just a typo. It's not really important, but there's just a bracket missing on page 2 under real estate before the number 1 link.
Yeah.
It's a minor, but that's,
Yep, easy fix.
yeah, I'm really happy this happened because hopefully we can do more of these in the future.
Okay, so just to confirm, you wanted us to take this to the board for a first read on September 5th?
Yes.
I think that's wonderful.
Let's move that to the first read.
Thank
Yes.
On 800. Does anybody see any issues on that? The question I have on it under definitions. Let me back up. Under the records, it says the term includes a document, paper, letter, map, book, photograph, film, or sound recording stored or maintained electronically at a data processed or image document.
I'm so sorry, Chris. Where are you? What?
Definitions under which one, which paragraph?
On the first page,
Yep.
under
So-
definition, you go down to records.
Records.
Oh,
thank you.
records. I'm sorry. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
We've talked about doing the video recordings and everything. And I think that is saying we should keep it. And then if you go down onto page 2, the Records Management Committee,
Mhm.
we have that because I've never heard of it. And what members sit on that, because it says has multiple positions for a records management committee. Do we need to have that?
As far as I know, we have not had a records management committee, but I've only been here for 6 months.
I've never heard of it. That's why I'm wondering.
I've never
Hello,
heard.
Mr. Lindsay.
Oh, Solicitor David.
So why are we even trying to do this or have a committee? Do we need it?
And also, is that something that PSB wrote? Or is that something that was, that's one thing, I just want to give a quick history. Prior to this year, when I was on the policy committee, we would have maybe 10 items at the most on the agenda. And I would look at the old one, and then what they always did was any changes were in bold, which was very helpful. But then I would actually go back and look at the original one that PSBA had sent out, because over the years, there have been other additions that the district has added to things And I'm not saying that's wrong, but for me to research on the policy committee, I like to look at what's being presented, what changes are being recommended, and then going back to the PSBA original, because you'll find over the year, you'll see things that won't have any legal links or may be added because that school board at that particular time felt it was necessary. So that's the basis of my question. Is this records management committee something that PSBA had put in an original policy, or is this something that was added by us now?
This
I
Or,
this
think-
was not added by us.
I
So-
think that this could be eliminated, because I don't think we need another committee.
I'm not in favor of more committees, but if PSBA's original had it in there, then I'd like to take an opportunity to then discuss it. But if this is something that the school board at some point added, then I think we have probably every right to take it out.
We have
Um,
every right to go, even the PSBA.
Right.
go with it.
Oh, sure, but I mean, if
I
they
mean,
had
we
some
have
particular
an
reason.
existing records management policy, correct?
Yes.
So if we have that, why do we need another committee? I don't think we do. Tracy, your thoughts?
Hold on. There's never been a committee that I can recall, so it is what it is. If we can take that out, if we don't have one, as long as we have a
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah, if we already have a policy, I say we just scratch this.
I agree, as long as somewhere in the policy, I can't remember that it specifically says who's in charge, who is that one person that oversees the records management. I'm sort of assuming it's a superintendent, but I just want to make sure that it's somewhere in
Well,
some
I think-
policy.
I think it's the board overall.
Mm,
So according
And-
to our current policy 800, pardon me for interrupting.
Please, go ahead.
Under delegation of responsibility, it says superintendent and or designees are granted the authority to oversee the record management program and delegate responsibility to appropriate individuals, guide personnel, and ensure the program is created, administered, audited, and enforced. So what I'm seeing in this proposed policy, volume 2 of 2023, the one that's in front of the committee now,
Right.
is they've gone into more detail about a records coordinator and this records management committee. And my interpretation of that is that there may be systems that are large enough, that have enough moving pieces that might require more than one set of eyes on the
Right.
system. From my perspective, I think the way we need to solidify our records management and have more of a system
pro-
that's recorded and repeatable. But I think our record management system is going well as it is. I don't think we need to add complexity.
Okay,
I
then I'm
agree,
gonna ask that we scratch
but
that.
May I just add one other note?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe the only reason this was put in here is because they always wanted a second set of eyes, because if you did get a bad actor who started deleting things or changing things because they had access to something, that would be, so as long as there's something that there's only like maybe one person or something, you'll know
Yeah.
to
and so
have
this-
access.
And this is why we create documentation to say that this is how long we keep all of these various things. So that when we put it into archives, we mark on it, this is when it should be destroyed or removed.
Okay, I'm gonna say then we scratch the policy 800 volume 2 records management.
I agree.
We don't need it at this time. Tracy, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right,
So-
thanks.
So we will not take that one to the full board.
Right, that one will not go.
Okay.
Now, because David Lindsay is here, we got some things that we're gonna jump around the agenda a little bit. If you scroll down, Tracy, if you can stay with me to section D, PSBA revisions. We got some stuff that's mandated, some of it's recommended legal. Mr. Lindsay's here to kind of give us a little bit of guidance to go through it.
Like which ones are
I'm
priority?
gonna have to read down the priorities. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that are mandated, which keep in mind, doesn't mean it's law, it's a recommendation from PSBA, correct?
Well, the mandated ones are policies that they say are in accordance with law.
Right.
So here, when the legislator creates a law, then PSBA writes a draft policy that ensures the district is adherent to the laws or
That's-
changes in the laws.
So we're gonna
Those are
jump,
critical.
we're gonna jump down, Tracy, to PSBA revisions. The first one we have, and we're gonna have to find them. 103, volume 4. Is one of the mandated ones.
So anything in bold, are there new updates? That's,
Yes.
yeah, so,
Well, this one is discrimination, harassing, affecting,
mhm.
okay? There's definitions, a report form, discrimination complaint, procedures, confidentiality, and grievance. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that I have to ask Mr. Lindsay a question. Have you read that yet? This 103, volume 4? Right. There's a lot of controversy in that. I truly think, I agree everybody has their say-so to gender identity and everything else. But the kids are coming here to school to learn math, history, English, all those subjects. And I think that we're inviting problems with this policy part of it, because if somebody wants to say, well, my gender identity today is different, I want to use a girl's bathroom or vice versa, I can see that bringing a lot of turmoil into the school and into the classrooms. So how do we do this? We don't want to offend anybody. We got to follow the law. But from everything I read through this whole thing, we're inviting problems into the school. How are we going to control who uses what bathroom? How are we going to control people picking and bullying on others because of this? So I'm asking, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Can we
Solicitor
set
David.
you up at a mic here?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I just noticed that. Our fault.
I truly believe that this is something the parents should teach and deal with at home.
Hopefully that one works. Let's see.
I would not discriminate against anybody, but what's our priority as leaders of the school? Is that one working?
Tracy, can you hear Solicitor David? He's gonna do a test.
I don't think it's working.
I cannot hear him.
Tap your mic.
Do you
there,
want to
Dave.
sit up here? I can move over.
Yeah, that one is not on for some reason.
All right, we'll bring him up here to us.
I'll move over. Spread out all your goodies.
You didn't know we were doing musical chairs today.
Wow, David the solicitor smiled.
Yeah.
All right. I give you enough room? Okay.
The question that you asked, though, it's not really a legal one. That's more of a pragmatic question. In other words, how the administration would deal with this. In terms of the legalities of it, my opinion is it's absolutely required by law.
Okay,
The things in bold.
Well, the gender identity portion of it in particular is, I mean, I can go into depth more about it, but so the Third Circuit is the federal court that controls the District of Pennsylvania. This issue has already gone up on appeal. There was a preliminary injunction against a school district that did not want to have this in there. They sued the school district saying that they had to, in other words, they wanted to enjoin to prevent the school district from removing that portion of policy. The court granted that, precluded the school district from removing that portion of policy. The case then went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court denied to hear it, which means that's the law that exists in Pennsylvania. Now, the Ninth Circuit, which is Tennessee type area, it deals with multiple states. The same issue has gone up there. They had the exact opposite holding. They enjoined the school district from inserting it. So it's probably more of a legal analysis than you care to know. I suspect it's probably going to change if Trump gets into office as opposed to Biden.
Okay,
Because what happened was, if you look at Title IX, you will not see the phrase gender identity anywhere in Title IX. It does not exist in
Right.
there.
That's right.
It's an interpretation of the phrase sexual discrimination to include the phrase gender identity. So recently there was a Supreme Court case, very big one, called the Chevron deference case that came down. What the Chevron deference case started out as in the 80s under Ronald Reagan, they didn't like the administrative agencies being sued by all these regular people, particularly the EPA. And they wanted the courts to defer to how administrators interpreted the law. That's
okay,
called Chevron deference, meaning the lower courts had to defer to the administrative agency's interpretation of law implemented by Congress. It's been that way since Reagan was in office until just recently, the Roberts Supreme Court overturned, and I followed it the entire way because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
right,
So that was overturned, so now it goes back to the courts. This is one of the Chevron deference issues. The Obama administration was the one that initially issued a memorandum, which essentially has the force of law, saying that you do not get Title IX funding unless it's gender identity is included in sex discrimination. They interpreted it that way. The Department of Education, United States Department of Education, interpreted that language that way, and then it became binding law on the rest of us because that's how they interpreted it. They're still interpreting it that way. When Trump got into office, he rescinded all of that.
Mhm.
When Trump left office, but one of the first things Biden's administration did was put it right back in.
Mhm.
And that's where we're at today.
Okay.
So
So it could change depending on, sure.
the problem that I see for the school district is, one, you're going to lose your Title IX funding if you don't do it. And it's not just the Title IX funding that you would lose from the feds. You get money through the state via the feds. So the Fed gives the state money, the state gives you money. They can remove that too. More than that, as I see it, and having dealt with them before, I suspect the school district would be subject to liability via the HRC, Human Relations Commission. And that's just statewide. I haven't researched federally. I suspect it would be with federal agencies as well. And I'll give you an example. There's a big case that recently came down from the Human Relations Commission in Pennsylvania. A kid was being bullied. Facts don't really matter, but basically, other than to say that they found that the school district did not stop the bullying, and that became discrimination. Because of that, they awarded it was like $500,000 to this kid and his family as a result of that. So by way of extension, let's say, for example, there's a child that says, my name's John, but I'm really Susie for today. And I'm gonna be Susie from now on, and I want to use the girls' bathroom. And administration says, no, you can't do that. You're biologically a male.
right,
And that kid says he's got to go through all sorts of counseling and treatment because he felt bullied by the administration and he felt uncomfortable having to go into the bathroom, whatever. That's absolutely going to be a claim against the school district, and you'll lose under the current existing law. It's a
Or-
no-brainer.
or is our administrators, teachers, everybody gonna require special training on this?
That's what I'm,
That's more of a, I know we've been talking about this, other solicitors and I, particularly, there's a couple I talked to that we just talk about things as they come up, and I knew this was coming. They're handling it in their districts on a case-by-case basis. They're not very large districts, probably about half the size of this district. And what they're doing is they're having meetings with parents and the children who are affected by this to try to arrive at some type of solution that would not be discriminatory in nature.
Right,
Again, that's more of a question for the superintendent and the administration than it is for me. But that is what they're doing in other districts to deal with this. And secondarily, I'll note for the administrators, they all take an oath to uphold the law.
Right.
So you're putting them, if, without this language in there, or if they are taking, if the board takes the position that they're not going to recognize gender identity, you're putting the administration in the position of upholding a policy that may be contrary to law. In other words, they're in violation of their oaths. And that, I'm not the one that thought of that, actually, another solicitor that brought that up and kind of had a discussion about it. There are probably way more liability issues that I'm even thinking of,
Right.
but I can think of a lot, not to
I'm
mention the
just-
funding issue in and of itself.
I'm concerned with it opening the door for people to bring in a litter box because they want to be a cat. People for using other things. You're shaking your head
No,
no.
I understand that there's this kind of slippery slope argument.
Yeah,
But we're professionals and we know how to keep kids safe. And we recognize that that the vast majority of the work that we do is keeping kids safe. And we know that occasionally we'll find a student or an individual who wants to abuse the system, and that's why we have safeguards in place. That's where we have things like our social emotional curriculum in place, why we're working with students to understand how to be accepting of the people around them. But also we have anti-harassment and bullying rules in place
Right.
with significant consequences for students who violate those. One of the things that's very important to us is that we get to know our students very well. And so when a student is experiencing significant questioning about their gender identity, we have counselors in place to help them through that. And as David said, in my experience, we've dealt with this on a case-by-case basis. I'm not sure what the habit has been here at the district, but my inclination is that we would continue in that vein so that, first of all, the student body is kept safe and the rights of the individual pertaining to this particular policy are also upheld.
I just want to make sure that we're all covered and all their administration and the teachers know exactly what's going on here.
There's an ongoing training component to it. About 3 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago? Oh, time flies. About 2 weeks ago, the administrators went to a Title IX training to cover the changes in the rules, and there will be more of those opportunities. Next week, PASA is putting on another training for superintendents and directors. I just found out about this morning, just kind of a refresher and a reminder. So there'll be more of those ongoing trainings to make sure that we're apprised of the law and we're
Okay.
That's great.
all of the requirements.
Yeah, because this is a slippery slope. It could go, like David said, both ways. Elizabeth?
First of all, thank you for inviting the solicitor. I mean, I had what I thought was a good understanding of this, but I was wrong. And now I am much clearer on the importance of this. We do know that all school districts, I shouldn't say that, we don't know that. It's not unusual for a school district to have a predatory person out there that is always looking for a lawsuit, okay? And if this helps in any way to alleviate that, right? To me, that's critically important. And then they give us options. So now that I know this new information or a better understanding of this information, when we get down to, we're supposed to make choices, I'm sort of assuming we will just see who Dr. Redmond feels should hit those check mark boxes. Because obviously, you know how it's all set up.
Yes, our team is working through those right now. So I have a stack of, so you see this stack, these are all these policies and all my flags are where I've had our team
Cross.
look through and make sure that we have the appropriate check boxes, as you're saying.
Right. So my last question is, and not that we discuss this now, but maybe at the next facilities committee meeting, if there's a bathroom issue in any of the schools or anything, just please let us know, okay? So we're checking that box too? Okay. That was great. Thank you. Well, I'm looking forward to see the boxes checked and that I support this 100%.
Okay.
Tracy, are you out there? Can you hear us?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine. Not only the administrators have been tasked to uphold the law, but so did we when we took our oath.
Absolutely,
We are to uphold the law also, just a reminder.
Absolutely.
Wow, that was very
Okay.
interesting. Thank you.
That's a good one. The next one is down in that same section, it's number 25, policy 104, discrimination,
What number?
harassment affecting staff.
I'm
It's
so
line number
sorry.
25.
25.
On the agenda list.
Oh, I'm going
And this
scrolling
is
down.
the-
Okay.
Yeah,
This is against staff versus against students. Essentially, it's the
Right,
same thing. It has that
same thing.
paragraph. It's just,
I just wanted to clear it because it's on our list that we have here. Any questions on that?
Will the forms, I'm assuming all the forms are going to be accessible. I mean, this is your job. I don't understand, but just so we all understand, these forms, they can just get them off our, well, after it's approved, of course. Get them right off the website, easy peasy, no problem, right?
so we have our Title IX coordinators, one for staff, which is Justin, and one for students, which is Christina. And they are making sure that this information is readily available to those who need access to it.
Super terrific. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I had a quick question on the
Go
last one
ahead,
we were looking at.
Elizabeth.
I wrote it down. I'm so sorry. I was distracted. I'm so sorry. What was the number again? So I can,
Line number 25 on our policy.
Yes,
the one that David,
It's 24.
his
is
was
103.
24, the one David
his was,
explained.
okay, thank you. I'm just way too much information on this. Okay. When, we were in, this page, I should have written it, I should have printed this out. This was my only question. Is this, just to keep it flexible, and so you have, in case we don't have a director of special education someday, I'm not saying that has nothing to do with what's going on. I'm just saying a hypothetical. Oh, there's no page numbers. Oh, I can go by this. PDF page number 4 on that policy. We're under supportive measures. It says the Title IX coordinator shall consult with the director of special education. Now, I would prefer that to be the superintendent or designee.
That's only when the student involved has an IEP. So that's for the
Well,
law
let's
that
say
you
your
have to
title,
coordinate
oh,
with
I
them.
don't want to say a person. I'm so sorry. Let's say the title of that job description changes in the future or something. Whatever it may be in the future, what I'm just saying is, I personally would like to see the superintendent or designee. That way the superintendent can automatically give it to whomever. Or not, and that's why I'm just saying in the future, so we don't have to go back to this.
Yeah, so.
Flexibility.
I hear what you're saying, and my tendency is to leave things more flexible rather than less. At the same time, we would, my recommendation would be that we have a director of special education all the way until we're below 1,000 students. We have that, so I don't anticipate that happening.
Okay, or a change of title, or that's what I'm saying. You know how you sometimes combine, or
I think
what's
we
flexible
could-
for you? Whatever's flexible for your, in the long term. Okay,
So the intent is to make sure that the person who is overseeing the process for writing and maintaining individualized education plans has a look at this as a supportive measure for a student who has experienced some sort of Title IX related issue. And so there's going to be someone in that role.
okay,
Right. There always will be.
okay. Well, if you want to
Yeah.
change that at some point, just let us know if you did change it.
Yep,
That
I
was
will.
that was my only thing. So you have there's flexibility years to come. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Any problems with that one, Tracy?
Nope.
Okay,
So again, just to be clear,
that,
the
let's
recommendation
move
from the
that.
policy is to take line 24, policy 103, and all the attendant documents and move that to first read.
If,
Yes.
once the boxes. are
And
checked,
25,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
25.
24 and 25, thank you.
with the boxes checked, yes. Thank you.
Next one is number 27, 218, volume 3 with student discipline.
Yeah.
I see no problem with the changes that are in there. Any thoughts on your side, David? It's on student discipline.
I would have issued a memorandum regarding anything that required, other than 2 of the proposed policies, I had a written memorandum.
All right, then I would say if nobody has any difficulty with that, we move that to first read.
Well, there's,
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
thank you. I mean, there's just I'm not sure why they only gave you one option, but there's just, on the first page, under authority, third paragraph, there's brackets there to be checked, but it doesn't give you any options, which
Right.
just seems odd.
Well, it's just if we're using restorative practices,
Mhm.
then we check that. If we're not, we don't check it. And we are, so.
So that one will be checked. Okay, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I make the move to 218 volume 3 student discipline get moved for first read
With the checkbox.
with checkbox.
Thank you.
You say something, Tracy?
Nope, I'm just agreeing.
Okay. Next one, that's a mandated policy is number 28, which is 218.1 weapons. I didn't really see anything messed up with that. I like the idea that they put the law enforcement under delegation of responsibility. And the agency that has jurisdiction on school property. And they can use guidelines from a law enforcement agency. And Dr. Redmond, you have to report to Department of Education any weapons at all, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there's an annual report for them.
All right, I see no problem with that one. How about you two?
I'm good. with it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I'm good with it. We're good.
Okay, Elizabeth?
The only thing it's up to, well, I guess you, Chris, do you want quarterly reports to the safety committee put in here or annual? Because they do have to do an annual report to the school board in executive session once a year. But did you want to have that in here somewhere so your team or the committee would
I
have?
don't know that it has to be under this,
Okay,
but I think that as part of an AR from Dr. Redmond, you could make that we get quarterly reports at security meeting.
I don't know, it needs to be an AR necessarily. I mean, as the chair of the security committee meeting, you can just
Right.
request that information.
All right, we can just request it. Okay,
all right. And then.
I
sorry.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, the same thing. I'm assuming the box or brackets, I'm so sorry. Page 2, it's the 5th paragraph down, in accordance with federal law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm assuming that box is going to be checked before it goes to first read.
1,000 feet, I don't know if that gets us into trouble here with hunting close to our schools.
It does.
So I would recommend us not checking that box
Right.
because we're in a rural area and hunters are closer than 1,000 feet.
Yeah,
sometimes to our schools.
this is kind of a all fits one policy, but it doesn't really fit here because state law says you can't shoot within 300 yards of a building, and we're within 300 yards of places that get hunted.
But on the Cornell Law School, section 26, line A and B, it says the term school zone means in or on the grounds of a public, parochial, or private school, or within a distance of 1,000 feet from the grounds of a public, parochial, or private school. So I don't think we have, I don't know even why we have a choice. Because it says it right here. That means we have a choice?
That's why you can mark it or unmark it.
But if it says it's, that's why, when I read this, I don't understand why the Legal Institute says,
If there's a possession or discharge of a firearm on school property, it'll automatically be notified to the law enforcement agency. But we can't stop hunters that hunt within 1,000 feet of Keystone Central property from hunting. That's the bottom line. We're in a rural area.
Wouldn't that also, like Homestead that's over by Central Mountain Middle School, that it would be within 1,000 feet of the school property?
That's why there's an or. The district can
That's-
define it
yes.
as it chooses. It can define it
Yes.
as the actual school grounds or within 1,000
Sure,
feet.
and that's why, yeah, so if you
Doesn't say
check that
and or,
box, it
it
would
says or.
make that.
Well, I personally don't feel that firearms should be going off unless that we had a demonstration or something with, well orchestrated, but I don't think within 1,000 feet from the grounds of a public school, I feel very strongly about that simply because I'd like to give you an example. I have a friend who grew up in a very urban city area and she's used to very loud sounds, continual sound. But when she was visiting and she heard gunfire coming from back behind the middle school, she actually took it was horrible. She actually had a moment where she was petrified. Because to her, it sounded like it was right next to us, but I know for a fact it wasn't because I'm used to it. So what I'm saying is, hearing any gunfire sometimes triggers people. And I just don't think it's necessary that we should allow firearms within 1,000 feet of our
How
school.
are we going to control hunting on state grounds that's within 1,000 feet?
Well, that's
Or
the thing.
private property? How are we gonna control it? We can't.
Well, when you look at the school and you're,
You live over by Central Mountain Middle School.
Right,
You're in a house and you have firearms in that house, you're within 1,000 feet, but I own that property. You're gonna have
exactly,
me arrested for having a firearm in my house?
well, I thought they've
exactly.
been
You're-
discharging a
you're-
firearm.
Possession or
Possession.
discharge.
This
what it
is
says.
possession or discharge.
Oh, possession, my mistake. I didn't see
So
that.
you
That's
can't-
totally,
You
but,
can't do it.
okay.
So I'm gonna say we leave
I'm
that
sorry,
unmarked.
misunderstood. My mistake.
Tracy, how do you feel? Tracy?
I never,
Thanks, takes me a minute to get that mute button off. I'm fine with it the way it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
I-
without marking it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I never thought of that, someone having, I have guns in my house, so I mean, yeah.
yeah, so see, you're automatically in violation and you
I'm in
just made it
violation.
public. All right, I say let's move
I'm
that
sorry,
to
it wasn't,
first,
sorry,
first read.
Thank you.
my mistake.
The next one is number 29,
Typo.
222, volume 2, tobacco and vaping products.
Yeah, so the big change here was just to get rid of Juul as a specific manufacturer of e-cigarette products.
Yeah, they did
Right,
string that out last time.
yeah, I saw that they made just a minor change in it. I got no problem with that. How about you, Tracy?
I'm good with that.
Elizabeth?
Oh, me again. Okay, page 3 on the PDF. Again, those boxes aren't checked, so those boxes will be checked before it goes to first read.
Yes.
Okay, super terrific. And there was just one typo and it doesn't matter, but on the agenda, tobacco with an O. No big deal. Misspelled,
Okay,
no big.
so let's move that item to first read also. The next one, it skips down to number 33. Now, keep in mind, these are all the policies we're doing right now that are mandated. 33, the hazing,
33 is a administrative regulation.
okay. What is the organizational hazing? What do you mean by an organization intentionally?
So it,
Is that spelled right?
my
Jesus.
sense is that organizational hazing is that something that's either practiced or allowed by the organization to occur and repeat over time. So if you had a team thing where every year you went engaged in some sort of hazing ritual for newcomers, then that would be kind of the organization, rather than just one individual doing it, it would be kind of
Okay,
involved in it. Are you still looking at that AR?
I'm looking right at number 33,
Yeah, right, that's the.
247.
Yep.
It doesn't say AR here on my list.
Oh. So you're probably looking at line number 32, which is the policy.
Okay,
May I just make a recommendation? Not that AR,
yes, I am, you're correct.
not that board, this is an AR, fully understand. But Solicitor David helped me because I thought it was a typo, even though okay, page 1, paragraph 2, the bold word complainant. I thought it was a misspelling, but that word, I don't know if I honestly did not know what that word meant until he just explained it to me. So is there and he did say it's a legal term, but so if I'm not a PhD, in English or anything, but is there another way to help someone understand what that word means? Or maybe it's just me?
I think being a complainant is pretty easy to discern because that's the one making a complaint.
It's the same language used in the Title IX as
Yeah.
Oh,
well.
that's where it came from. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Is the alleged victim or target of hazing? Okay.
So if we combine
Just
32 and 33 together, Tracy, do you see a problem with any of that?
Nope.
Okay, me either. Elizabeth?
No, sorry, yep.
All
Good,
right,
good.
so I'm gonna say let's move 32 and 33.
But 33 and 34 are the ARs associated with policy 247.
Okay,
So. yeah, we just
so
need to move-
32, 33, 34.
Mhm.
Let's move them to first read. You keeping up with us, Christine?
Yeah, I missed the A marker on line number 30. That was a tobacco one. Are we going to do that one to first?
Yes,
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So I guess that's because those aren't approved by the board, they're kind of
Mhm.
packaged with them. So if you're
Right.
saying we're gonna move the policy, then we'll take the ARs as well.
right,
And not for the board to approve, but just for informational.
Right.
Which is very helpful.
right.
Very helpful.
Thank you.
Next one down is 35, and I guess 35 and 36 are gonna kind of go together. It's policy 249, bullying and cyberbullying. I didn't really see a whole lot of changes. At the bottom of first page, they've added harassment in there also. Is that even online? So if you have two students picking back and forth online, is that crossing the line on free speech if somebody wants to say something?
No, it's.
Okay,
People are still not allowed to harass people, whether it's online or in person.
how would we control that?
Well, we can't control it, but we can hold them accountable for the behavior.
Okay. Is that just anybody or is that just strictly against students?
Well, I mean, if the staff is engaging in harassing behavior, we hold the staff accountable. If the students, same thing. I mean, it's a
Okay.
little bit different because it's a student, we're teaching them how to be appropriate and grow into their citizenship with adults. We hold them
Okay.
accountable because it's their job to.
All right.
behave properly.
Anything on there you see that would make you question, Tracy?
Nope, I'm good with it.
I hope so.
Elizabeth?
Sorry. Page 1, under authority, third paragraph. Dr. Redmond, I'd like for you and your team to consider this. We're going back to paper copies again, and I know you've put the district's put a lot of things online, forms. Instead of the student having to ask, don't we already have a form for this online, or is that gonna be is that a different form? I mean, trying to make sure there aren't 4, 10 different forms. And of course, some forms are very specific for very specific things, but it seems like we already have a form online, and if we do, if we could have the title of that form in here, instead of the student having to go to the principal and ask for a paper copy?
We have
What?
online ways for students to report this.
So I
So,
think the student needs to go discuss it with the principal or a teacher and go the chain of command to begin with.
Oh, yes, but it says here, students are encouraged to use the district's report form
Right.
available from the building principal. I thought that that was, we were trying to do, is trying to get as much as we can online. This doesn't talk about the discussion part, chain of command. It's just saying you have to get the form only from your principal.
my hope is that we are finding lots of ways to reduce the barriers and the bureaucracy in front of students, so they feel that they
Yes.
have multiple ways to
To
report
report.
harassment. So we're gonna have a paper form, and we're gonna have an online portal, and we're gonna let things come in verbally, because we want students to be able to report and not put the things in their way.
Right. Give
Okay.
them every opportunity there is to report a problem.
Okay, so maybe that line sentence, whether did I'm assuming PSBA wrote this and it's just sort of a carryover, but it just, I think instead of a student having the onus of having to go to the principal and get the form, that they should also be able to, it should say there that, they can go to however you want to word it, however you have it set up, X, Y, and Z, just go on your phone, boom, there it is.
And it does say that they can put the complaint in writing, they can make an oral complaint, so they
Right.
can choose to report it however
I'm
they
perfectly
wish.
fine with this whole,
Oh, to me, it just looks like the only way they could, what I'm saying is me objectively reading this. It looks, the way it reads to me objectively is that the only way a student can report this is to go to the principals. I'm sorry, maybe that was confusing. That's what I'm trying to say. The way it reads is that the student can only go to the principal to get a copy of the form to fill out. And that's not our goal.
no, it just says they're encouraged.
Yes, we're encouraging the student to not be afraid to stand up for themselves or someone else. Yes, that's something we're working very hard at and we're getting there. What I'm saying is when I'm reading that objectively, it just makes it appear that that's the only place the student can get the form. Now, if that's not correct, then it would be nice if the policy also reflects what we actually do.
That's why it says or after that first sentence.
Or
Mhm.
put the complaint in writing. To me, writing is a pad of paper. or a
However,
Or-
oral
form.
complaints shall be accepted and documented.
Right.
So, and the important part, Elizabeth, to me
Please.
honestly, is we don't put the policy in front of students. We
Right.
tell the students and let them know in lots of ways, here's how you can let us know that something's not going well. They're not gonna read the policy.
No,
Exactly.
And I think writing covers whether you're physically writing or whether you're filling out a form online, right? If you're filling out something in writing, it's both, whatever modality it is that they're writing
Yeah, I
it
think
out.
there's more than enough opportunity for them to get the point across.
well, again, I'm standing with this. I know you two
Okay.
can just go ahead, but I'm standing with this because the way this reads is 1990, and this is, we are not in 1990. It should say students are encouraged to use the district's report form from the building principal or blah, blah, blah on the website. Whatever that title is, wherever it is.
Okay, what if it said students are encouraged to use the district's report form via online, verbally, or
Through the principal.
through the principal?
Yeah, something like that, something like that. I'm not sure why,
Would that make everybody happy?
that would make me very happy.
How
I
about
guess,
you?
well, I
folks?
guess I kind of read that a little differently. When you start that up and you read the whole thing in context, the students are encouraged to use the district's report form available from the building principal, or put the complaint in writing.
Right,
However, oral complaint shall be accepted and documented. And then it goes on to say the person accepting the complaint shall handle the report objectively. So there, to me, it's anyone, like they could come to a teacher. I'm giving the teacher, I'm telling you, hey, this is what's happening. And then that person.
that's
is
kind of the way I took it also.
obligated to, and I guess, I guess I see your side too. The form should be available somewhere.
I will say
Nine
this,
times out of 10, as a building principal, I either would get a complaint orally, it could be from the parent, or orally from the student, or it would be secondhand from the teacher that the student went there, and it was typically a they would write it out on like a notebook paper or
Right.
just something general.
Right,
So-
well, thank you, Justin. That, yes,
Yeah.
the chain of command, they go to the principal first, they discuss it, maybe it doesn't go to an actual documented form. But I'm not gonna beat this down anymore, but I
Yeah.
still feel very strongly that, and also for, we have safe to say, we have other, we have the whistleblower policy, whatever policy form that we already have online, I feel we would get a better communication if it's also listed there, because I'm sticking with my guns.
But that
Mr.
report,
Lindsay?
that, report
Your
is
thought.
also online, so.
Well, that's what I'm
report
saying. Why
form-
isn't it written there in the policy?
Hold
That's
on
what
a
we're
sec.
trying to go, is more
So
towards.
this,
Hold
so
on a
that your,
second.
your idea about leaving things general in writing is about as general as you can get.
True, but again, I just feel that me as a student reading that, I only can do
Students
this
don't-
by,
Students don't read this.
but maybe a
Zero
parent,
students have read this ever.
that's,
Okay,
that we don't know that.
Mr.
well,
Lindsay,
but
do
get
you
my-
feel that the wording on that is okay? Or do you feel it should say online or?
I typically do, I mean, I think it's not defined, but if you want to insert a clause that would say in writing, comma, whether electronic or otherwise, comma.
Okay,
Beautiful. I would feel very comfortable with that.
Tracy, how do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it the way it is, but if we can do anything to make it a little more specific, that's fine too.
Would you be okay putting the wording, that, Mr. Lindsay said about being electronic also in there?
Yeah,
All right, you okay with that?
Thumbs up.
Let's move that to first motion and put, or via electronically filing. You okay with that, Frank?
Yeah, what?
Dr. Redmond?
Yeah, I mean, board policy, we'll put in there what you want.
All right. Next one down, number 38. Tobacco and vaping products. When I read through this, I really didn't, see anything that jumped out at me.
Is this where you wanted to get rid of that word jewels again, because you're defining an actual company?
Yeah, it's just making it more broad.
Okay, that's,
Yes.
so then we take out jewels, page 1, under definitions. Or do you want to keep that in there, a specific company? Per sentence.
Including Juul and other electronic cigarettes. So it's giving an example, but it's not limiting it to that.
Okay,
It's
so you want to
opening
keep the
up
name
to
of the
a
company in there?
broader
Okay,
Spectrum of products. You good with that, Tracy?
yep.
Okay, let's move that to first read.
good.
Next one under mandated is number 40. Which is 801 on public records.
Number 40 is another administrative regulation.
Okay, number 39 and 40, sorry about
So
that.
we'll do 39 first, is that what you, okay.
Yeah, I'm going by the list that was given to me.
No problem.
Once again, this is all mandated stuff. I don't see any problems with it. There's a couple changes, but I don't see anything drastic. Mr. Lindsay, did you see anything in there that,
To be candid with you, I only reviewed the recommended policies that were
Okay.
optional or recommended for liability purposes. Anything that was mandated, it's mandated. by principal. It's already been vetted by
okay,
firms that represent the SBA. So I wasn't gonna, if you want me to, I can, but
Oh,
it's probably a waste of time and the district's money to have
Right.
me do that.
I have,
And it'll
one
be fun,
question
too.
on this policy. I know there's been a little bit of traffic. I think I sent you a note also about the ability for us to deny anonymous requests.
That was my question. Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
if you've had time to think about that or such.
This right
uh,
here,
so-
right here.
yeah, it says the board authorizes the district to deny an anonymous request for records. I
For the
would
right
think
to
that-
yep.
can you do that? Because how you gonna know who to send it to?
I saw a legal brief a few weeks ago that said that we could, if my interpretation is fine, I want to get some advice on it, that we could say, if it's not an identifiable person, or if it's anonymous request, we
Right.
can say no, because the right to know law says you have to be a person, something like you have to be a person in the state or something.
Yeah, I think that in all honesty, if it's an anonymous request, they should put on there who they are that's asking for the info. It's a legal record at that point. So I think that that's fine.
That would
Just to
be
make sure,
lovely.
yeah,
Thank
just to
you.
make sure we're square with the recent developments.
So
There-
should,
There's we've been seeing requests from a particular website or a particular group, but it's not identifiable as a person necessarily. And we've been responding to those requests as if it is a person.
okay,
But we're getting a lot from that email, so we can stop responding to them. Because it's anonymous, then that would save us a lot of time.
Just use it, please.
so if you're getting an email for a request, you're saying from a group and it's anonymous?
It's from a particular and then everything after that it's
Okay,
from I don't know where it's from.
do they not have to sign it or put
Correct.
their name on it
It just
or
comes-
anything?
It just comes in as,
Okay,
if it's not an identifiable person, my understanding of this case law is that we don't have to respond if we can identify it as coming from a specific person.
okay, so can it come from a specific person or an organization?
I don't know that. I would rather have our-
Okay,
That's
so
a good question.
It can definitely come from there.
we'll put that one on hold until we hear from him.
And then I have a question.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Uh, Page 1, at the bottom, under authority, there's another box that needs to be discussed, checked, not checked.
That's what we're waiting for an
Well-
answer.
And then, but they have a link there that's dead, link in bracket number 6, and if you scroll down, it's, where is it?
Yeah,
Oh, there it
that's
is.
the case that I'm referring to.
Okay, and then the other link, number 15, where is it in here? I'm so sorry. I don't see where's 15? There it is, yeah. And also, what page number is this? Page 2, under request for access, there's another dead link there, number 15.
Mhm.
So when you scroll down, that's another case.
Mhm.
15 K Pace versus City of Philadelphia.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's something else you,
We weren't given access, we weren't given links to that, they just,
I can get.
thank you.
I'll quick look at this one, get you the- Oh, wait, explanation, yeah, it's a trial that did. It's a 5-day trial for the business privilege tax. It's like literally a trial, 8 hours a day. You're not gonna do it.
No, I'm sorry. No, but it's fascinating. I can't wait to get briefed. Can't wait. All right.
70 pages.
All right, so we're gonna hold this policy for right now until we get more clarification.
we have a few weeks. And what I'm hearing from our council is we can get that fairly quickly.
Okay,
So if we can resolve
By the end of
this,
this week. please.
That would be
Okay.
lovely.
then we can move it to first read.
yeah,
I like that.
we'll get some clarification
Do you
then.
want a copy of the cases that you referenced? that were in there?
It'd be nice.
Just so it's emailed.
Tracy,
love
your
to see that.
thoughts?
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. So let's hold off on that till we get some clarification.
I'm sorry, Chair Chris.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I have a family obligation soon, so how many more mandatories do we have?
We have one more mandatory, but then we
alright.
get tons of other ones.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm just letting it, because normally we just go an hour and so. I wasn't
Well,
prepared.
there's a lot that was thrown on our plate through PSBA just what, in July or in June, wasn't it? Yeah. The next one is number 41.
Okay. Mm.
Policy 806 on child abuse. Anybody see anything on that that concerns them?
Nope, let's move it.
Okay,
Just a
let's
couple
move that to
words.
first read. Elizabeth, you good with that?
Absolutely. Yes, please, let's go
Okay,
with this, yes. Except for, of course, the bracket. Page 4. I don't, do you want me to keep noticing these brackets and bringing it up, or should I?
No,
Like I
they're-
said,
They're already marked
like I said.
Yeah.
for us to
Okay.
select them.
What I have here is all of the input that we have from the administrative team about what we're checking and what we're not. So what we see on the
Okay,
5th,
so I just
is-
won't keep saying, because I feel like I'm, wasting
yep,
time.
we're on it.
Thank you.
okay. With that said, let's go up to item B under discussion. One that is recommended / involved in legal is 903, public comment and board meetings. Now, there's also a 903 AR and a 903 AR1. I have some notes written down on this. So let's go to that one first.
Which the presiding officer statement.
No, let's go to public comment
What
on
page?
page 1 on 903.
What paragraph or,
Hang on here, I'm getting to it.
all right,
It says, under authority, the board allows that public comment on agenda items as scratched out be made at the beginning of each item, each meeting. I think that should not be scratched out, because if somebody comes in and reads the agenda and wants to ask a question,
So the purpose of lining that out is to allow for people to make comment on anything. If we don't scratch it out, then what the board is saying is you can only comment on the things that are on the agenda.
okay,
So we scratched it out so that the folks who are coming in can make comment on things that may not be on the agenda.
okay. Because then further down, the second public comment, I'm okay with that. We go to page 2. Guidelines to comment, that was scratched out the beginning of it. I'm okay with that. An organization,
where are you now, please?
I'm down on page 2. Here we're saying at number 4, group or organization affiliation, if applicable. An organization is allowed to talk then, right?
We're asking that people identify if they're speaking on behalf of
An organization or not, okay. Because I saw there was a spot that the organization was scratched out almost where they couldn't talk.
I saw that somewhere too, and I didn't write it down.
Yes, and I want to make
I
sure,
can't search on this.
I want to make sure that we're giving everybody
There's-
the chance to voice their opinions.
That's the intent.
There is, I remember seeing that also.
Yes,
I didn't write it down.
I want to go back to page
Is there a
2.
way that I haven't learned, I'm sorry to interrupt, that I can search for a word in Board Docs? I have not figured it out. Does anybody know?
Yeah, control F. And that, well, it lets you search the web page, but it may not let you search inside of a PDF.
That's what I
on the web
can't,
page.
okay, never mind, thank you.
Okay, right
So
there,
in that little magnifying glass, you can put a word in there and it'll come up. If it was on an agenda or in a policy, it'll come up.
Check what you want.
It'll come up that way.
I'm sorry,
Top
maybe
left.
after the meeting.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll show
sorry,
you after the
Megan,
meeting.
would you
Yep,
please,
I've done it
or,
before.
or maybe the next time I see you, because I have to,
Yep, no problem.
thank you. That's always, that would be helpful. So sorry.
Okay, so I'm okay with this as long as everybody has a right to come in and talk.
That's right, that's the intent.
For
Okay,
committees and
yeah.
public meetings.
yes,
The committee side of things,
Just so they're treated the same.
find that.
Page 4. I would just want board meetings and committee meetings to be treated equally for everything. And I feel very strongly that the chair should not have the right. It's just whoever signs up, they're signed up and they get their 4 minutes.
yeah, I had a problem with in general, meetings of the committees of the board shall not include a public comment period, but if somebody is up there and online and wants to ask a question, I think public input towards the committees,
So I want to differentiate between a discussion on a topic and a
right?
public comment. So
Okay,
discussion on a comment, on a topic, if you're having a discussion, much like we have today, and we've had some of the folks who are here sitting with us. make
Right.
Comment on things going along, that's completely normal and setting aside a specific time for a 3-minute time or a 4-minute time thing for public speech. I
right.
think that is best situated in a public board meeting when it's all of the board together.
Well, but
well-
if somebody wants to comment
I
on,
agree.
on something on the agenda here, the committee is all about fact finding
Yeah,
So when you
to
get to that-
present to the board.
Sure, so when we get, again, that is an opportunity, I think, when you get to that agenda item, as you've done so far, and you've asked for comment. I don't know if you want to speak, I know you spoke a little bit on this a few months ago. Do you have any thoughts or ideas about public comment?
It wouldn't be a legal opinion. You legally do whatever you want.
I think we should allow it because it's the public. We need their input, and if we're gonna discuss something on a committee, somebody may have a good idea that none of us have thought about. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. And I will say this was very helpful. We had this is an example. We had a facilities committee because we've been trying to work with, the tennis courts at the Central Mountain Middle School have been, a topic of discussion for the last 3.5 years. And there were some citizens who feel very strongly about those tennis courts. And they came to a facilities committee meeting and expressed their feelings about it. And I didn't find it disruptive or inconvenient. That's what, so I'm not sure, well, maybe help me understand this. Why is someone scared to have a public person come and speak for 4 minutes at a committee meeting? What are we scared of? Is there something we should be scared of?
Again, this wouldn't be a legal issue. I'm looking at it more right concern. You have a limited amount of time to do a lot of things.
Mhm.
If you're gonna use up a lot of that time in public comment, you're gonna get less done. You have a right to public comment on it. Committee cannot take action. Nothing gets decided at a committee, other than a
No,
recommendation.
recommendation.
No, but it's a fact finding mission.
Yes and no.
Oh, I'm
You're
sorry,
finding
Chris. I'd
out
like to-
info.
I'm so sorry. Please, I'd like to hear what Solicitor David has to say. So I'm sorry.
It'd be sort of superfluous to have public comment, in my opinion, at a committee meeting, because you could make the exact same comment at a board meeting addressing the exact same issue before the board as a whole made any decision. So if there are any facts that would come out at a committee meeting, by definition, those same facts would come out at a board meeting where the same individual could provide comment. Well, would say the same individual would say the same things.
Okay.
So I think it's more of a pragmatic concern. As you said, you have family issues to get to today. Imagine if there were 15 people here that were talking about the discrimination part of this, the controversial issue. You could spend the first hour just listening to the same public comment you're going to hear at the public meeting when you make a decision.
Sure.
So that's a
Okay, I see.
pragmatic concern. It's not a legal concern.
And-
Legally,
and if
you
I
do what
could-
you want.
And
Oh.
just let me make sure that my point earlier was clear.
Christmas.
Sorry, That, hello. That I'm differentiating between public comment and participation in the discussion.
Mhm.
So your comment about the folks from the tennis courts, if it's on the agenda and you're talking
It
about it,
was.
and you're asking you're having a discussion about it, I think it's completely appropriate for the committee to ask the folks that are in the room who are there to help you understand the totality of whatever issue is on the agenda. You have folks that are public, that are participating in the committee coming up with recommendations for the board. That's, in my mind, I see that different as public comment.
Okay, well, this, if I may, Chair Chris, this is, this the only thing, no,
For
I don't,
example, the president of the committee would have the discretion to allow the public to participate in matters that are being discussed,
You're-
something to that.
yes, that does
Exactly.
exist,
So
but
it's not
if,
guaranteeing time. You
Right.
get the choice.
but if the chair of the
Sorry.
committee, that the consistency though, chair of the committee for this committee may be absolutely against that, but the chair of the committee for this one encourages public input. So how, to be consistent. And the other thing I had was, if a topic comes to a committee and it's discussed, and then they make a recommendation, then it goes to the board. But now that person who had this other idea or other thought about that particular issue, after the committee has already made their recommendation, they're bringing it to the full school board, even after the school board members see it on the agenda. Okay, well, this is what they recommend. We're probably going to endorse it. It might be too late to have a serious conversation about what that individual wanted to say or should have said at the committee meeting. With the understanding that, how do we ensure that if a recommendation does go to the board, that if a person, individual comes with a different slant on it or a different idea, that the board doesn't, the majority of the board doesn't just shut down the conversation or the thoughts, say, well, it's already on the agenda, it's been recommended, let's do it. And I've seen that happen once before, and it was, so bottom line, what I'm just trying to do is consistency, making sure that the public knows we want to hear from, we need to hear from them, but at the same time, so it's not, like you say, doesn't take up an extraordinary amount of time, but if we already say in the ordinance policy, pardon me, only 4 minutes per person, and then in the ordinance policy, I have a meeting tonight. And in the policy, it says, but it cannot go more than 30 minutes unless the chair so wants to cut it shorter or longer. So I don't know if we're going to be overwrought with people coming. So me personally, I want community members to come to committee meetings, and I want to hear their input. Personally,
I think not to interrupt you, but
no,
I
go, I'm
think,
done.
I think to make it that the public has no speak is slicing their own throat. I think
That's not
we
what I'm
need
saying.
to give them a
That's
little
not-
bit of time to say something.
That's not the intent.
And
Again,
it's
not
up to the
intent
chairman to let that happen.
And
I don't know.
I
feel like
see your
you're-
point. I
I
do.
feel like what I'm trying to say, maybe I'm saying it the wrong way. Again, my intent is to disallow the community and the public to participate in the committee meetings. Quite the opposite.
Well, this is saying they can't.
Yeah,
No, this is saying, again, differentiating between having a 4-minute chunk of time for them to make a comment about something that's on the agenda or
it's,
not, or participating in a discussion. At any time, it's already written into the rules about how public meetings work. The chair of the committee can acknowledge someone who's in the meeting to participate in the discussion. That's
Mhm.
already allowed, and the chair can do that at any time for any reason.
well, this reads, in general, meetings of the committees of the board shall not include a public comment period. And that's shutting it down. So why can't board committees just run exactly the way
Yeah,
regular
because even
work sessions? I mean, just keep it the same. Don't differentiate. Let's-
under the board committees, the line, public comment at a committee meeting shall be at the discretion of each committee is scratched out.
Mhm.
So is unless held as a committee of the whole. So what we're doing there is saying, okay, There's no discussion at a committee meeting.
That's not true. That's
And
not,
at
what-
the
that's
whole-
not what it's saying. I'm sorry, Chris.
Well,
I have to
that's,
disagree with you. That's not the intent of the way the policy is written. However, so we don't keep on
Right.
belaboring this point. You tell me what you want. This is a board policy, not a superintendent policy.
I think that it should just, those that are crossed out should be left open. Let it be at the discretion of the committee chair.
Okay.
And same thing with being at the whole. Elizabeth?
Yes, I don't know why we just don't, I would just get rid of that whole section and just add in, under purpose, it says here, addresses the right to comment at open board meetings, including committee meetings. Boom, done. And then that's all same,
Tracy, your thoughts?
right here.
I've brought this up before. Trying to think how to explain this. Public comment is meant as a hearing for the board members. And that can only be done when there's a quorum of the board members, which means our work session and our voting sessions. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lindsay, but I'm not sure if that's part of Robert's rules or not. If, we're going by Robert's rules for other things, it should be done as this. I don't disagree. I mean, I agree that the public should have the ability to participate in committee meetings if invited for a specific topic, such as the tennis courts at the middle school. The citizens there could have been invited to speak on that topic and be a part of the conversation. But an official public comment period, like we have at our voting sessions and work sessions, is meant as a hearing of the board, which is when the full board meets, not committee members when there isn't a quorum. I may be wrong, but that's how I always took it.
Well, if we look at if somebody wants to speak, it's just fact finding. Doesn't mean we have to act on it, but we're listening to what they say. We may hear a good idea.
We might, and the chair of the committee has every right to invite that person into the conversation, but it
Okay.
isn't an official public speaking part of the meeting
All right.
on the agenda.
Then I would ask that under the board committees, the public comment at committee shall be at the discretion of each committee. I think that should be left on there, and also unless held as a committee of the whole, that whole section should not be crossed off.
Solicitor David?
Okay.
What should we do?
What's your choice?
Well, is
It's-
Tracy correct that we're,
Unscratch it
they're
out.
only?
It can
these-
go either way.
Is Tracy correct when she says, when someone signs up to speak, that it is a hearing? They're not just,
What she's saying is what I think she's saying. Pennsylvania law requires there to be a public comment portion of every public board meeting. The law does not require a guaranteed public comment at every committee. I think what Tracy is saying is that the public comment is only guaranteed at a board meeting.
Right.
Board present to act on
Or-
board business. She doesn't want to guarantee a public comment at every committee meeting. Those are two different things. I think that's what Tracy is trying to say.
Yep. Pretty much. It would be, like I said, if somebody's there and we want to invite them into the conversation, if there's time, that's fine. If there's a specific thing happening, that's fine. But in the interest of time and moving the committee meetings along, it would just be better if people speak by invitation.
Right, so that's gonna be at the discretion of the committee, so that needs.
Yeah.
Those two need to be uncrossed.
okay, and I had some comments. So you're in, do you know how this is all gonna work now? That part?
Yeah,
Okay, so what are we doing?
we're going to, under board committees, we're going to uncross the public comment. So be at the discretion of each committee
Oh, good. Okay,
and
that def-
unless held as a committee of the whole. We're gonna keep that in there.
Okay,
Yeah, uncheck those. And Tracy, you're good to move that to
I'm not,
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I'm sorry, but you were asking Tracy, I just want to make sure.
Tracy, are you okay with that?
Yes.
All right.
Oh.
Elizabeth,
Okay.
let's
I've-
move that 903
Well,
to,
I've got some comments on it.
okay,
that's why-
go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm on the right. Where it's crossed out, recordings.
Under board
There it is, there it
committees.
is. Okay, page 3, bottom of page 3, it's been crossed out. Recording and release of public comment, and then the following one was taken out. My question for the solicitor is, if they have all these links to legislation, why is it being crossed out?
Recording and release of public comment.
Yes, we have all these legislative links, but someone went ahead and crossed them all out, even though there's legislative links. So I'm thinking that there might be something to that that we need
Actually, they're
to,
all board policies.
okay. All right, so we don't have to, that's fine. Good. Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay,
And
Are
then, oh,
are we done with that?
no. Then when we, is this the page? Yes, we scroll up. I'm so sorry. Scroll up to the top of the page 3, please. And the first part is crossed out, but then the second part, there's a check mark. And we all decided 4 minutes, correct?
Right.
That was good. Okay, your AR says 3 minutes. So you-
Yes, I was gonna
Okay,
get to
so-
that
Fix
next.
that.
Yep,
It's easy
just a
fix.
little typo, no
Yep.
biggie, no biggie.
The AR needs changed to match the other policy.
Noted.
Okay. And then I have a comment on the AR.
Also 903. AR 0, 903 AR 0. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to.
Yeah,
I have it. I think so. I can click on 903 AR1. Request a comment to the board. I think, yes, I believe it's in the number 5, B5, but I'll just double check to make sure I didn't read it wrong. No, that's the form. I'm so sorry. B6. Is it B6? Oh, I wish I could write notes on board docs.
So this is presiding officer statement. You're referring to the presiding officer statement?
Yeah, I think it said 3 minutes on here when our,
Yeah, like I said, well, that's an easy fix.
yeah, just a typo, so they coordinate.
yes, it's
Yeah, there it
under
is. I see it.
presiding officer on page 2.
Yep. I
It
got it.
says 3 minutes. That needs changed to
Yep.
4.
I got it.
Good. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, I'm done. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. I had one last question. I'm sorry. I know, and I
Go
have,
ahead,
I'm the one that has to
Elizabeth.
leave. I had a question for the solicitor, David. On the 903 AR1, when it says that the only people that can speak are employees, students, taxpayers of the district. What happens if a business owner who lives outside of the district, who doesn't live in this district, but wants to make a comment about a practice or something that we do? I don't know. Would a business owner or commercial, someone who lives outside of the district is not a taxpayer, but they want to make a public comment with something that actually affects them in some form or fashion? I'm just using a business for an example. Do we have the legal right not to give someone outside of the district, say, I'm sorry, you're not a taxpayer, you can't speak at any public meeting? Do we have the legal right to do that? I did not know that. Well, I think that's something the public, if I didn't know that,
They also have the legal right to allow it too.
Right, it can go
Oh.
either
The
way.
board can vote, can make a motion to allow that. So there's a mechanism for that.
okay, so that was, okay, and that led, and I'm so sorry, Chair Chris, but now that leads to what I was going with this when I first read it, is then why are we not allowing people outside the district to speak? I mean, we're not gonna have hundreds of people here, and it could be up to the chair to decide that it's not an appropriate
I-
topic, because we have all those things, if it's rude, or if you're attacking someone, I mean, that immediately will be shut
I
down.
think if it comes up, the board has the authority to say, yes, we want to listen, or no, we don't, and just let it be at that. We've taken votes in meetings before to let somebody continue or whatever. And I think we can just go with that.
Okay, okay.
The
What-
only other thing I had under 903 AR1, the presiding officer statement. And this is for Mr. Lindsay. I know at the township and borough meetings, they've now been required
Oh, yeah.
to say that the meeting is being recorded. Should we be doing that also?
I'd recommend it.
Okay, so I'd like to see a line added in there that states when the board president says that on the public comment, just at the start of the meeting, that he should make an announcement that the meeting is being recorded.
Do you want that separate from, because this is specific to the public comment period. So I think what
That
you're
would go back
referring to
Okay.
is something that would go on the agenda.
000.
Right,
So that would
like
be on
where the call to order and all that, we should put on there that he makes the announcement the meetings are being recorded.
Yeah, we never talked
Cause
about
I know
that.
the townships and boards are just,
Would it be sufficient to put a sign up on the door saying that? So
You
that,
do that.
so we don't necessarily, I don't want to, in case somebody misses it, I don't want to,
right,
on the hook or something. So we can just put up a sign that says all meetings of the board and board committees will be recorded.
that's fine too, just,
If they join in on Zoom, there's an announcement that says this meeting is being
Oh.
recorded. and
Yes.
They don't want to.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Good,
Yeah.
good, good.
So,
That'll be lovely.
just as
That'll
long
work.
as we're covering our base, cause I know there was some conflict involved in that around the county.
Okay.
Christine, would you make note of that? Thank you.
So, Tracy, you good with moving 903 to first read
Yes,
and the ARs?
well, yeah.
Okay. Elizabeth,
Yeah, with that three,
Okay.
4 minutes.
Christina, we can move that on. Do we want to keep going or do we want to adjourn this
Is
for
there
now?
anything that we legally could be, is there anything here that is priority that, I know you made your list, you've already been through, but if there is, I don't care, she's just gonna have to wait. I'm serious. I'll stay if there's something else here that is like, okay,
May I ask before we adjourn, just to have maybe a 1-minute conversation about the cyclical review?
Sure.
So there's a chunk of the 300s that are on here. They're all
Take your
cyclical
time.
review.
which one?
My point is none of them, I think
Oh.
need to be, there's no changes in them. These are all things that I've looked over. I don't recommend any changes. This is just part of our cyclical review. We just
Right.
put eyeballs on them to make sure that nothing's too far out of date. We've done that work. So my recommendation is that this is just cyclical review. Board doesn't have to take any action on it.
Right.
Other than to say, yes, we've done the review.
I looked through every one of them and I didn't see anything out of line.
Right.
So I'm gonna ask, Christine, the whole, section of C. We'll just move that on.
Um,
Yes, Elizabeth?
in the past, this is, I tried to express it earlier, and I'm not saying it's necessary, but this is something that I prefer to do before I ever vote on these, is I understand what you're saying. But again, it goes back to, over the years, there are certain policies where the board or the superintendent or someone has just inserted a little something because it was appropriate at the time, or they felt they wanted to add something extra into that policy. And again, what I like to do is I like to look at the original PSBA, the most recent copy. I'll just pick one, policy 306. What I would do on my own time is I would pull the original PBS, the most recent PSBA policy. Then I would look at theirs and look at ours and see if there was any difference. And if there was, I would look into it. And usually it's nothing, but occasionally there have been times when something might get slipped in because it seemed appropriate at that particular moment. Doesn't happen often, but I have caught a couple since I've been on the policy committee. Is it critical? No. But if I'm going to be doing, as a board member, if I'm going to be doing a cyclical review, that's what I need to do myself. And I'll be honest with you, I have not had time to do that. I'm not saying it's necessary to do, but I feel comfortable doing that. And I feel more confident doing that.
Okay.
I don't have
So-
time either, but I did it because as the chair of this committee, I gotta follow through with it.
Sure.
If if you go to the very first one, the policy manual 300, code 301, creating a position. The only thing I see is a line of delegation and responsibility. Recommendations for a new or additional position shall include the job description clearly stating the duties for which the position was created. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Right, right.
That's not a big deal to,
But I'm saying, I as a board member, I mean, if you want to go ahead and move them all forward, that's fine. I'm just letting you know my position. I apologize. This agenda is way too much for me for this week. I would like to see them halved instead of, you know,
well,
it's too much for me. I'd failed to read all of these and do what I normally do. So.
I
just
can tell
take
you,
it.
we cut this agenda down to a third of what was originally proposed for us to do. And Dr. Redmond and I talked about it, and we cut our entire schedule back, and we're gonna split it out over the next couple of months.
Okay, and I have no problem meeting in the summer, okay? It just seems like this happens we're trying to give everyone the summer off, but this seems to always happen.
But we're following the board calendar as it was adopted. by the
I
board.
know, I know.
If you want to adopt a different one next year,
Tracy, are you okay with
Fine.
moving the C section to first read?
Do we even really need to send them to first read? We're just as a policy committee reviewing them. If there's no changes, then we don't
Right.
need to approve them
Then we
again.
need to be okay, you're right.
And at any point, anybody on the committee or the board can look at a policy, and if they have a question, request to put it on the agenda. It doesn't have to
Right.
be only during the cyclical review.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe we should, that's a great idea, Tracy. Maybe when you say, let them know that, because no one's ever said, well, I was always told you have to have 3 people. Maybe you don't have to have 3 people to put it on a committee.
Well, I mean, you should ask the committee respectfully and have the
we-
committee look at it if you're not on the
Sure.
committee.
if there's a question, they send out an email and it goes to the 3 of us, and then we move on it.
Yeah, so no biggie.
Right,
so
So
we don't need
this,
to move the 300s, we just cyclical review for the
Right.
policy committee.
yeah,
So we'll just assume that we reviewed these, and then in the next policy committee agenda, you'll see a different set of the cyclical review in the 300s.
right. And then it's up to each member's duty to check it out before the meeting. Yep. Okay, go ahead, Elizabeth.
are you done? I'm sorry, I have one last comment after you're finished.
Go ahead.
Oh, this has come up maybe next month. If you want to talk to Dr. Redmond, and maybe we can start this or not. The vending machine situation with not having any policy attached to it, before we discuss.
We're
it.
already talking about that.
Well, okay, well, what I did, and I'm not overstepping, or I'm not trying to overstep, and I'm not saying anyone isn't doing their job. But I find the vending machine thing has been a topic that has come up on and off since I've been a board member, and spending money on stickers for windows. I don't, so here's a copy, I'm so sorry. Here's a copy of currently adopted policies in other school districts for vending machines. And I've also, and then with that, our current policy on vending, our wellness committee, which I don't know who on the board's on the wellness committee, but that's another, we can talk about it all together. And then there's actually a draft here for, it's very extensive, way too extensive on the topic.
All right,
So,
Elizabeth, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But if this is something you want to discuss, let's put it on the agenda.
well, that was my question. I
So
don't,
we can move forward with it.
oh, okay, well, thank you. I would appreciate that, but after you, this is way too much information, okay? This is just a portion of what I have. But what I'm saying is if we have a wellness committee and we have a school board member who's to be on it, maybe it should be someone from the policy committee or not,
That
because
is me, Elizabeth. I've been on the wellness committee for the past several years.
did not know that. Perfect, Tracy, perfect. I can email you all this, Tracy. I have it in
That's
Word.
fine.
Okay, so.
All right, so at this time, I take it everybody wants to be done, so we move the rest of what was on the agenda to the next meeting. Tracy, you all right with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna make it, ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Okay. Tracy, you're good with that?
I'm good. Have a good day.
Okay. It's adjourned. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you.